Hey everybody, this is Bryce Machine Bates of Team Evil Geniuses, and this is a replay review. Today's replay is going to be a Zerg vs. Protoss, also a ladder game that I played against Lag TT Dead End. And let's go ahead and jump into the game. Alright, so this replay takes place on Daybreak LE. Tends to be a pretty good map for Zerg vs. Protoss. There's a lot of separate little pathways that Protosses can use for timings. Zerg tends to really be the defensive race in this matchup, really kind of trying to utilize good scouting to their advantage by going ahead detecting those early proxy pylons that tend to hit around the third base or fourth base and defend a lot of early timings. And the reason why I picked this replay is actually a lot of players tend to struggle against the sort of two-base Colossus Death Ball, and they tend to wonder, exactly how you go about dealing with that. So that's exactly why I picked this one. So as we see here, I tend to open 15 pool just about every single game, ZvP. Reason being, if you open hatchery first in this matchup, you're very vulnerable to early cannon rushes, actually. They can wall ramps, cannon behind your natural, and because you utilized all of those early resources on just taking an extremely early expansion, if you lose it to a cannon rush, you are extremely far behind, and it's almost impossible to win from there. And because Forge Expand tends to be the standard opening at the moment, it's very common to go ahead and hit cannon rushes early on. So once again, he's gone ahead and opened his standard Forge Expand. He's going to use this probe to try to delay my expansion at my natural by either attacking the drone, building a pylon, or just using the probe to run around and block the expansion. It tends to be pretty standard. So I go ahead, scout the probe, scout the pylon going down, immediately send the drone straight to the third, and I send a second drone actually to the natural. And once again, I was always talking about these early cannon rushes, so I was afraid that if this pylon got up and he wanted to go ahead produce a few cannons, I could be far behind, but instead I realized he actually canceled the resources, canceled the pylon at the natural, and allowed me to go ahead and actually just secure a third. Meanwhile, he thinks I'm still trying to expand down here. I force more resources by having him build a third pylon that he has to cancel. Once my pool's up, I go ahead and start a queen, start 4 Zerglings in production, just kill this probe, kind of scout around and possibly kill any pylons that could be warping in order to delay my expansion. So I go ahead, deselect 1 Zergling off to just trail that probe. I'm going to send the rest of my Zerglings down here to this third, looking for cannons. Meanwhile, go ahead and I get my first Overlord in position here to scout these 2 Vespian Geysers. It's extremely important in this matchup. I'm going to transfer a drone now to go ahead and take my early third. This is sort of the Stefano-esque gasless third expansion sort of style. It's extremely good, very good at utilizing good economy early on. I'm going to go ahead and transfer 5 drones just as this expansion timing finishes. And my second queen should complete here soon. Yep. And my third has gone down, so I'm in a pretty good position here. 19 harvesters to 23, that's actually very standard for the matchup. Protoss is able to go ahead and gain more harvesters early on due to Chrono Boost, but Zerg is able to catch up, especially once this third comes online. So the next thing I need to do after these 2 injects take place is I need to go ahead and put down a creep tumor. It's extremely important to try to reduce the travel time between your natural and your third in this matchup, because as I was saying earlier, a lot of Protosses tend to be 2-based timing based, and so you really need to basically reduce travel time between bases so it's easier to defend both the third and the natural at the same time, as well as just being able to utilize that creep spread further on, maybe trying to go ahead and take it into the center of the map so you can use it aggressively as well. So here at 44 supply, I go ahead, take both of the extractors inside my main, go back to injecting once again with this queen. And then my third should be up at the same time. I'll go ahead and transfer some drones, start the third queen there as well. And at 54 supply mark here, that's actually when I'm going to go ahead, put down my Roach Warren. Now at this timing of Roach Warren, you should be able to hold off just about any timing from 6 gate to 8 gate. Even the +1 Void Ray all in. It's just kind of a good number to go ahead and put your Roach Warren down at. Now, as I said earlier, I'm trying to do a good job of scouting for any sort of proxy pylons. So I'm trying to patrol between here and here. I have both Xel'Naga watchtowers. It's extremely important. I need to catch any probes that could be running across the map. And I have a Zergling at a third. The reason being, a lot of the early Protosses tend to take the newer Protosses are taking a 533rd off one gateway, and you need to react differently to that than if he was on, just his 2 bases here. Now, as we go ahead and look at the Protosses main, he's got an early Robo, 5 gateways. He's either doing an Immortal or a Colossus timing, chronoing out some upgrades, pretty standard here. It's looking like a 2-base timing. As we see here, my lair is almost complete. You start lair actually before speed in this matchup. The reason being, you really need to get Roach speed as quickly as possible. And speedlings aren't really any better than Roaches at defending early on anyways, so there's no real reason to go ahead and delay that lair for Zergling speed if you're going to have an early Roach Warren. I start armor before range attack or melee. The reason why I like armor over range attack is really just because it transitions better. Late game, you're never really going to be stuck on Roaches because they're so supply inefficient. So I don't really like to waste the resources in upgrading range attack early on as it is. And so even though I'm going for basically a 3-base Roach timing, I've even started melee here. I don't really want to lock myself down on one sort of single tech structure, especially because Zerg's tier 3 units, Broodlords and Ultralists, both benefit from armor and melee upgrades and don't benefit from range attack upgrades. So Roach speed here, almost complete, Burrow as well. I've got my macro hatchery going down after I've gone ahead and started and completed my lair. That should kick in just in time to go ahead and give me a nice max timing. I'm destroying the destructible rock in the center of the map. The reason being, actually, it's much quicker you can travel much quicker through the center of the map than you can through either of the side pathways. So if I'm going for a timing attack, I want to reduce as much travel time as possible. And so by destroying that, I'm just basically allowing my units to rally over there much faster than they would had I not killed it. So as we see here, armor upgrade has gone ahead and completed. 4th hatchery is completed. I built a 4th queen so I can go ahead and saturate that as well. Just trying to focus on hitting all of my larva inject timings. I have pretty low energy on all of my queens. And destroy this destructible rock leading into his natural. The reason being, this Zergling is still here. He definitely has not taken his 3rd. He should have by now. So I know he's going for a Roach timing. I know that eventually I'm going to have to trade units up here. And if I didn't kill this rock and tried to just shove units up this tiny little sort of section of this ramp, he could force field that off easily and get very efficient trades. But here at least I'm forcing more force fields, forcing him to waste more energy, and have potential to get better trades. So I'm realizing I'm going to have to go ahead and engage from 2 angles here. Zerg should never attack from a single angle. The reason being, you're really trying to get as much surface area on your opponent as possible. It allows for the most damage per second, or DPS. So in order for me to trade as efficiently as I possibly can, I need to engage from multiple angles. So I go ahead and move in here. And because I know he's going to throw these force fields down, I don't just attack me, but I move into it so I can have different tiers and different layers of Roaches attacking at the same time. Able to pick off a few Immortals, but the sort of Colossus Immortal Sentry Death Ball is very efficient against these high Roach numbers. So even though I was at max to about 115 supply, he's able to fend that off with relative ease. And now, most people would think, oh, you just got to keep attacking into the force. Eventually you can whittle it down and kill it. No, that's actually not how you deal with it. In a scenario such as this, you need to go for a base trade. So what I'm trying to do here is lure this army as far away from both my base and his base as possible while trying to kill off his buildings. So a bit of a misrally here. End up throwing some units away. But I'm going to go ahead and poke him with these units, lure him back here while simultaneously engaging with my rally into his natural, trying to kill tech structures, trying to kill units, trying to kill harvesters, and going from there. So once again, yeah, he's still just chasing this small little force here. Meanwhile, I'm moving into his natural, trying to kill off pylons, gateways, cybernetics cores, and he's really just trying to sort of kill off this force before he can go ahead and defend. Once again, he has two options here. He could either just counter immediately, or he can go back and save his natural. Right now, he's opting to go ahead and save his natural. I've gone ahead, moved these roaches in, killed off a few stalkers, killed off this immortal, and because I realize he's going ahead and trying to defend, once again, I'm just trying to drag him as far away from my base as possible and trying to spread him out. So I'm going to move these roaches into his main, pulling his units as far down as possible, while going ahead and engaging with a separate force at his natural, trying to pick off tech structures. I really want this cybernetics core. The reason being, he'll only be able to produce zealots. There'll be no more sentries, no more stalkers, so the death ball will be much, much weaker than it could potentially be. And now, once again, just trying to drag him away. He knows this force of roaches is moving up towards his third. He's trying to just basically eat as many units as possible before he decides to go ahead and try to hit his counter. So he goes ahead, catches these roaches. I run away. Once again, he does a good job of trapping me. Once again, I'm just going to go ahead and engage his natural. I'm just trying to trade units, delay, buy time as long as possible, because I'm still mining on 2 bases there, or 3 bases while he's only mining on 2. I'm able to pick off a Colossus there. That's pretty big in this matchup. That's kind of a game-winning move there. These Colossus are extremely valuable. So if I'm even able to grab one like that, it makes his death maul much, much easier to deal with. So I realize he's gone ahead and scouted me. He's going to end up chasing this force away. I choose to go ahead and engage here. Probably not the best of ideas, actually. I should have still been dragging him up here and then allowing myself time to go ahead and reinforce. I was able to pick off a few stalkers, but it definitely was not cost effective. And once again, you know, he's still just chasing and chasing these units farther and farther away. I go ahead, send my next rally to go ahead and engage his natural. Still just looking for that same base trade. I want to pick off as many units as possible. And finally, he chooses to go ahead, you know, says he's had enough. He understands he's going to end up losing his base at this point. This is just going to be a base trade scenario. He needs to try to kill off my bases faster than I'm able to kill off his tech structures, actually. So I realize what's about to happen. I go ahead, set my rallies back, start producing a lot of spine crawlers. I want to buy myself as much time as possible, and hopefully I'm able to just go ahead and kill off his buildings before he's able to kill off mine. So I kill off, you know, the Robo support bay right before Colossus finishes there. That's a little unfortunate. And other than that, the next buildings I target are the Nexuses. The reason being, when Nexuses fall, I know it goes ahead and reveals on the map exactly where all of his buildings are. So I know exactly where I need to go ahead and set my units to go ahead and finish off every single building he has. Meanwhile, I'm doing a good job of buying time with these spine crawlers here, just sitting behind buildings, and just trying to wait for the last possible second here to go ahead and engage. Choose to try to grab an immortal there. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. And now, once again, 5 spine crawlers up on the ramp. I want to try to block this. Do a good job of transfusing, trying to save the buildings, or at least, you know, still just trying to buy time at this point. Meanwhile, I'm still mining at my 3rd, mining at my 4th, producing a lot of roaches. and almost all of his buildings are dead at this point. But he has gone ahead and rebuilt a nexus right now, so I don't actually know this is here, but I know he has a nexus somewhere on the map. And once again, I'm still just waiting for him to kind of kill off all my buildings. I want to maybe wait for these broodlings to weaken his army as much as possible before I go ahead and engage here. It looks like he chooses to go ahead and engage me. I target down the sentries, or try to the best of my ability, and I'm able to get 2 of them. He only has 2 left, and neither really have energy. And now I've got a good sizable roach count with 2 extra bases. I could still be delaying him for a very long time. And he chooses to go ahead, build more structures here. He's got 1 pylon left in the main. I've got a pretty sizable roach force, and he's forced to go ahead and defend this nexus. And so once again, I'm just kind of dragging him away. I realize at this point he can never really leave this nexus or he's going to end up losing the game. Meanwhile, I'm still mining, still able to go ahead and produce roaches at this point, so it's kind of my game to lose. It's almost impossible to lose at this point. So I go ahead, pick off his nexus. He tries to just counter. I'm able to catch him at the watchtower, get a good surround, and kill off the remaining force that he has. GG. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. Once again, this is Bryce Machine Bates of Team Evil Geniuses, and this has been a replay review. Go ahead and check us out at teamevilgeniuses.net. We have a lot of other content like this, great replay reviews, from myself and my teammates. It's really worth checking out. So thank you guys very much.